the most dangerous gods in the Bible, and why they still rule today. They were worshipped. They were feared. They promised power, prosperity, protection. But everywhere they were honored, blood followed. The Bible calls them gods, but heaven calls them lies. Tonight we expose the most dangerous gods in the Bible, not because they were real, but because people believed they were. Baal, the god of power and control. Baal was the god of rain, fertility, and control. He promised harvests, success, influence. But his worship demanded compromise. Sexual immorality became spiritual devotion. Israel didn't abandon God overnight. They mixed him with Baal, and God asked a terrifying question. How long will you waver between two opinions? When Elijah confronted Baal, heaven answered with fire. Exposing that power without God is powerless. Molech, the god who demanded children, Molech promised protection and national security, but his price was unbearable. Children were burned alive in worship. God said, "This is an abomination I never commanded." Scripture reveals the truth behind Molech. They sacrificed their sons and daughters to demons. Any god that demands your future is not a god worth serving. Asherah, the goddess of compromise. Asherah was subtle. She didn't replace God. She stood beside him. Her worship blended pleasure, nature, and spirituality. Poles were planted next to God's altar. Truth was mixed with deception. Asherah teaches us this: the most dangerous lies don't deny God, they redefine him. Dagon, the god of pride and power. Dagon was the god of national strength, military dominance, human pride. When the ark of God entered his temple, Dagon fell on his face. The next morning, his head and hands were broken. God was sending a message. Every false power collapses in his presence. Mammon, the modern god. Mammon doesn't need temples. He lives in bank accounts, careers, ambition. Jesus said, "You cannot serve God and Mammon." Mammon is dangerous because people don't know they worship him until he owns their peace, their time, and their soul. The truth behind all idols' scripture is clear. The gods of the nations are demons. Idols are empty, but the spiritual bondage behind them is real. These gods were dangerous, not because they were powerful, but because they pulled hearts away from the living God. Final warning and question. Every generation has its gods. Some are carved in stone, others are hidden in plain sight. Share this because power without God always ends the same. And ask yourself, which God is silently competing for your heart today?